We have finally gotten the Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 trailer, and it reveals a lot of really cool things for us to sink our teeth into. As per usual, what we're going to be doing is going through the trailer and basically going frame by frame and taking a look at each creature that shows up and then talking about said creature. So let's get right into it. So, first off, we have some Asdarchids. Now, these fellas might be Quetzalcoatlus, but they also might be Infernal Draken, which is another Quetzalcoatlus, which is another Asdarchid that lived in the Hell Creek Formation that is also extremely fragmentary. We do see that one later on, and I'll point it out later. But it also seems like it might be, there might, I don't know, we might be seeing two different Asdarchids. We'll talk about that later. This certainly looks like a herd of Dinosaurs, but I am not too sure. But that's certainly what it looks like. And this does look like this will be taking place in Canada, which means that we'd be seeing Albertosaurus and Pachyrhinosaurus here. So that very much is most likely a herd of Dinosaurs. Look at that fella. I don't know which sauropod that is, but it sure does look cool. Now here's where things get really good, and this is why I'm so excited today and just so incredibly happy about this trailer. The Spinosaurus in this documentary looks like it's going to be phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see it. Here we see it's just sort of submerged in the water while it has one of its babies on the back. Very cute, very nice CGI, and I'm going to talk about the CGI a little bit more towards the end of the video because, of course, I do have thoughts about that, mostly to how people are reacting to it, so stay tuned for that. But so far, I love the way that this looks, and I'm so excited to see this, especially baby Spinosaurus. Per my knowledge, I don't think we've ever seen a baby Spinosaurus on screen, especially in a documentary, so I am very happy to see that. Or the baby Triceratops. You can never go wrong with a baby Triceratops portrayal. I like how this one's kind of like, it's more greenish, but it kind of has like a little bit of a yellowish coloration. Kind of reminds me of Sarah from The Land Before Time. But it does have, it seems like it has pretty decent baby Triceratops proportions. Like these horns that are, very reduced, but also curved back right here. Very reduced nasal horn. And a stubby face, as well as the frill that, of course, is more set back and has these larger epiccipitals, which are those, those spikes on its frill. So far, I think that looks really good. Here we have the Albertosaurus. So far, love it. Like I've talked about the Albertosaurus before when we got some of those first look images, and pretty much everything I said that I like about this, I think still applies here. I think that the shape, I think they nailed the shape. I love how the skin texturing looks, and I love the sparse feathers that it has. It almost looks like hair, just basically like small amounts of hair right here. I love seeing that. And it looks like it's going up against a Pachyrhinosaurus. Again, most likely Canada. This right here would be Gastonia, which will show up in the Utah Raptor episode. Love the texturing on this guy, and I especially love the sort of reds around here. What's really cool is that it kind of seems like they might be taking some influence from Borealopelta, which is a nodosaurid, much like how Gastonia is. Borealopelta is one of the few dinosaurs that we know what color it was in life, and that's due to the fact that melanosomes are present. Melanosomes are these little cells that determine the animal's color. And Borealopelta had this sort of reddish brown coloration, which seems like it's kind of represented here. Of course, this is not Borealopelta, but it is related to Borealopelta, so I think it's fair to take some inspiration from that actual specimen, and I love that. I love the way that this guy looks. I think it looks really good. Baby Pachyrhinosaurus, you can never go wrong with that. Also, we get like a huge herd of Pachyrhinosaurs. What's interesting is it seems like they have the sort of Walking with Dinosaurs 2013 coloration, and I think I mentioned that before, but that's really what these Pachyrhinosaurs remind me of. But the same thing with the Triceratops, with the reduced head. The boss is pretty reduced overall, and the frill is a lot more reduced as well. You can also see where the horn will start growing in, which means that these are all Pachyrhinosaurus lacustae. This, I'm pretty sure, and this has been the topic of discussion. I'm sure that many of you are already making fun of it. Lusotitan with some I think it's Lusotitan. I'm pretty sure it is because we see this one emphasized specifically, and we see it again later in the trailer. And I know that when they revealed some of the synopses of these episodes, they said that there will be an emphasis on Lusotitan. Pretty sure this is Lusotitan, which means this will be, I think, the only episode that takes place in the Jurassic period, which is a little bit unfortunate because we've been getting a lot of Cretaceous animals in current years in terms of media, but at least we're getting something. Lusotitan is a brachiosaurid, so it kind of has like the same basic shape right here. I think Lusotitan is pretty fragmentary too. Like, I don't even think we have a skull, that'll be interesting if we ever do find a skull in the future and it doesn't look like that. That's such is the case of putting any fragmentary dinosaur in a documentary. But the biggest standout is, of course, this structure right here. Obviously, air sacs are filled with air, and they create these sort of balloons on its head. Of course, it's pretty reminiscent to Prehistoric Planet with those balloons on the Dreadnoughtus's neck, and all of that is kind of like basically inspired from the All Yesterdays point in time in terms of dinosaur reconstruction. All Yesterdays was basically this, I guess you can call it like a movement where there was a lot of emphasis placed on speculation in dinosaur reconstructions. Of course, not a lot of people agree with something like that, but it is something that has happened, and it has had an influence on later documentaries like Prehistoric Planet. Of course, we don't know if Lusotitan had this. So this is purely speculative. It might have had something like this. It might not have had something like this. Their nares is set back there towards the back of their head. So there might have been enough space, or well, at least on Brachiosaurus, it's set back there. I don't think we have a Lusotitan skull, but assuming it is back there, maybe there would have been ample space to fill it up with air. And then I think you can hear it amplify its noises in this. So maybe that is something that is a possibility. I just don't think we really have any evidence for it. I don't really mind speculative portrayals in documentaries like this, at least as long as they're grounded in some realism. And of course, modern day dinosaurs, those being the birds, have all kinds of very strange structures. And it's not necessarily a stretch to think that non-avian dinosaurs would have strange structures too. It's just we don't really know what most of them would have been because something like that is soft tissue. So it's difficult to say if that would have been present. Again, it's just purely speculative. This is in the same vein as, the Prehistoric Planet Dreadnoughtus. So it's interesting, it's very interesting. Just those balloons on your head. So I'm pretty sure this is Quetzalcoatlus. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the Quetzalcoatlus did have a range into Canada. I could be wrong. I feel like I found out like last year or the year before whenever I did the Walking with Dinosaurs 2013 review. I think maybe Quetzalcoatlus. I don't know. It might be. I'm not too sure. Either way, we have a huge herd of Pachyrhinosaurs, and look at the variation in the color. You have some that are a little bit more green, some that have more of a red coloration, some that are a little bit more tan or orange. And yeah, you just have a bunch of very awesome Pachyrhinosaurs in beautiful scenery. Absolutely beautiful. This is around like the Montana, Canada area in terms of like the prehistoric times. I love them. We have a really good shot right here. This Pachyrhinosaurus looks really good. You can see some in the background too, and you can really see that horn right there that would cement them as lacustae. I like the way that this looks. It has the proper Pachyrhinosaurus head shape and the whole basic Pachyrhinosaurus build. I think that they pretty much nailed it. The only thing that it seems to be missing that I wish was included were the feature scales. We don't necessarily know if Pachyrhinosaurus had those specifically, but we know that Triceratops had them. What they basically were these random large scales that were just placed randomly throughout the body. That's something that Triceratops has, and it's likely that other ceratopsians had them too, and it doesn't seem like we see them right here, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. It would have been cool to see. But I love the way that the beak looks, and you can even see their dental batteries back there, which are their rows and rows of teeth that allow them to chew their food. I do like the colors again, and again, this really does remind me of the 2013 Walking with Dinosaurs, which is pretty cool overall. That eyebrow is really interesting as well. But so far, I'm loving what I'm seeing. That especially screams Walking with Dinosaurs 2013. We see a lot of Pachyrhinosaurs do something similar to this. Their bosses could have been used for interspecific combat like that, where they just ram each other. I don't even know if they would necessarily ram, but at the very least, they could have been used to, take on a rival or to ward off a would-be attacker. But we get a better look at their body here. And again, they do have the typical ceratopsian build. From what I can see right here, that foot looks like the proper ceratopsian foot, and they have a relatively short tail. I also love these, I guess, spikes on their frill that kind of curve really far down. They look really cool. All just really, really good. I really love them. That looks like two Gastonia, which are butting heads. But that's interesting. I've never seen ankylosaurs do that before in a documentary. That is very interesting to see. This one also has more green coloration. I like how much like variation they have in colors in terms like with the specific species. You have some that look like a specific color and then others are just like will just be different. I've noticed a lot of that and I think that's really fun. Baby Triceratops again, ramming into what I'm assuming is the mother because this one has very dull colors. And I say that because we see another one later that has pretty bright colors, and we'll mention that later. So far, so good. I don't know if I can really make out any feature scales, but so far I like it. These are probably Paralititan, because I think that these guys are going to be in the Spinosaurus episode. The trees seem to match up, and the color grading seems to match up. Paralititan was a titanosaur that lived with Spinosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus and those other Egyptian dinosaurs. So it'd be really, really cool to see them. They, of course, have osteoderms, which is something that seems to be applied to titanosaurs quite a bit. Like I've seen a lot of Argentinasauruses like portrayed with osteoderms. In fact, you can see them on my How Long Good figure back here. We know that Alamosaurus had them and whatnot. They look good though. They have the pillar-like heads. Wow, the pillar-like legs, front legs, and the very strange hind limbs. And they have that sort of upward stance, which is pretty typical for Titanosaur sauropods. And their heads look really good too. They even have that sort of what is basically like a little beak structure that it's likely they had. So very good, very good. Albertosaurus going after this looks like Walking with Dinosaurs 2013, right? The Gorgosaur attacking the Quetzalcoatlus, biting it on the leg. This is that, basically. Love it, though. I think it looks really good. It looks like I don't know what that is. That looks like a giant ammonite. That actually might be what that is. Maybe this little guy was, like, snacking on something that washed up, and then the Albertosaurus here is like, bet, and then took it out. Look at those legs, though. Look at the definition. Theropods had pretty muscular legs, and I like seeing that here. And again, you can really see the sparse feathers up here. Looks very good. I also really like the patterns right here. Very cool. And so these are most likely the Lusotitans I was mentioning earlier. It's interesting that they're standing on their hind legs. I think the consensus right now is that Brachiosaurus could not pull that off, and these guys seem to be mostly modeled off of Brachiosaurus, so I'd assume that they wouldn't be able to pull that off either. But I don't know. I don't know too much about sauropods, so I'm not too well versed in Lusotitan. So if I'm incorrect about that, be sure to let me know. The colors are cool though, very vibrant, very vibrant. Here we go. This is where we're getting into really good stuff. And again, like the variation in the color. This one seems to be a little bit more gray or black in coloration, and this one has a stripe going down here. But this is easily the most accurate Spinosaurus that we have on screen today. Everything is here. The sail looks really good. They went for the little notch in the sail. We don't know the exact shape of Spinosaurus' sail. It could have been rounded, could have been squared, or it could have had this notch. So anything's on the table with that. The posture looks great. It has the sort of S-curve in its neck, which is the consensus. The head looks really good. No lips still. We still have yet to see an on-screen Spinosaurid have lips, but maybe one day. Of course, it's a very debated topic, so that's mostly just a personal preference type thing. The crest looks really good, and of course, the very strange tail. What's up, Ahsoka? You want to help me look at Spinosaurus? Yeah, no, this is a relatively recent discovery. Spinosaurus did have what looks like a basilisk tail, or a, tadpole-like tail. And the arms also look really good too. Seeing two Spinosaurs go up against each other is going to be a very fun matching. I'm very excited to see that. Here, right here. I missed this when I was talking about it on TikTok. Here we have a Spinosaurus claw. Here it looks like a dead Paralititan, and this looks like Carcharodontosaurus. It is very much not a Spinosaurid right here. It definitely has more of a Carcharodontosaurid shape. It's a lot more bulky, and those arms seem to be a lot more relatively short. Plus, the skull seems a little bit more, I guess, tall and broad, essentially. I'm excited to see that. And we're going to see them going up against each other. Maybe there's a dead Paralititan. The Carcharodontosaurus smelled it out, went to go and eat it. And then the Spinosaurus smelled it out. It went to go and eat it, looking for an easy meal, leading to a confrontation. That's my theory right now. Don't know if that's correct, of course, because I have yet to see it. But I'm very, very excited to see these two on screen. Much like Planet Dinosaur in 2011, I think. But yeah. Utah Raptor. Beautiful. Really beautiful. I love the way that it looks. The feathers look really good. The coverage of feathers, I love the way that looks. And this red coloration that it has on its head going down to its back. The hands, we'll see later, seem to also have the proper coverage as well. And it does have lips, and the patterns look really cool. Really, really cool. I'm so glad to see Utah Raptor again, finally. It looks quite a bit different from its, it's Walking with Dinosaurs, what is it, 1999 counterpart, the one that's very shrink wrapped and featherless and living in Europe. Oh man, I'm so excited to see this. There, oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. The coverage of the feathers seem to be proper. This finger is completely covered by the feathers. This one is mainly just like halfway covered, and this one is completely exposed. That is the proper coverage. I love how it's kind of like spreading them out like that, like as an intimidation display or something along those lines. It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. I love it. And the texturing of the feathers looks great. Again, it looks like we have the Gastonia right here. Much like Jurassic Fight Club, we're going to see these two pitted up against each other, which will be interesting. Here we go. This right here is, I mistakenly called this a Quetzalcoatlus in my my short about this, when in reality, this is apparently a Inferno Draco. Which is an interesting choice. It is a pterosaur that lived in the Hell Creek Formation, but it's very fragmentary. As far as I know, it's only known by a single neck vertebrae. So it's interesting to have that, but I do appreciate having things like that because it brings creatures that are a little bit more obscure and gives them a little bit more of a spotlight, and I always do appreciate that. Going up against the baby Triceratops here, which the CGI doesn't look the greatest with the baby Triceratops right here, but doesn't really bug me. Again, we'll talk about that more. Pachyrhinosaurs and with lightning going on. Such cool imagery right here. Love that. Oh, and here we got my boy Edmontosaurus. Oh, very cool looking crest. It's got some blue on it. That's cool. Yeah, this is most likely Edmontosaurus regalis. We know that Edmontosaurus did have that fleshy comb up here. Being attacked by Albertosaurus. Utah Raptors running in a flame. Scary, very scary. Looks like Gastonia as well. Of course, they're in the same episode. This is the money shot. I love this so much. Look at the mother, I presume, walking on the shore with its babies just following them. Very bird-like. Just very bird-like. I love it so much. It looks so good. I cannot wait to see this. I just can't. There we go. Ah, yeah, we get an up-close look at the baby. Very reduced sail, of course, and a reduced crest up here. Looks good, though. Looks really good. And the mother, you can see like a up-close shot of the scales, and I think the texturing looks good. Everything it looks good. I don't know. This is a cool shot right here. Again, this is what I'm talking about. This one has more blue coloration. This one has more purple. More Edmontosaurs. It looks like they're going with sexual dimorphism with that crest because the females, what I assume is the females, don't have it, whereas the males do. But it does have the proper look at the beak and even those sort of tall, narrow spines that hadrosaurs typically have. Great design. Very up-close shot. Really reminds me of Walking with Dinosaurs 2013. I think this is one of the Albertosaurs. Ooh, darn. Yeah, going straight for the face. That's going to be cool. Oh, yeah, and then the Spinosaurus versus Spinosaurus fight right here. You'll notice that this one right here drops an Onchopristis, which is basically a giant sawfish, you know, huge sawfish. Like the fish the Spinosaurus would eat, they were no joke. I know everybody likes to make fun of Spinosaurus for being a fish eater, but I wouldn't want to try to go after the fish it had to go after. Wouldn't be fun. This is what I assume would be a male Triceratops. More coloration in the frill, and it seems like eyes, which is cool. That's always cool. Maybe something that would be used as intimidation, you know, like make it look like it's bigger than it truly is. Looks awesome. And I especially love the contrast with those brighter colors with the duller body. I assume it's fighting a T-Rex here. Oh, that was that Oncorhynchus. Yeah, this is Oncorhynchus right here, and a Spinosaurus going after it. It seems like they're taking the route of Spinosaurus being a pursuit predator in the water, which there's a lot of debate about it. And my cat just dropped a Stegosaurus, if you were wondering. But there's a lot of debate about it. Personally, I'm in favor for Spinosaurus being more like a heron, sticking to the shallow waters and snatching up fish like that. Because it just doesn't seem like it was capable of pursuing fish in the water. You know, it just didn't seem like it had the proper adaptations for that. That's not to say it couldn't swim. I just don't think it was that efficient, you know. But it's still a debate, so I'm not going to say anything for any certainty. The Oncorhynchus looks cool here, though. There it is, snatching it. And then, yeah, the T-Rex. This is the Infernal Draken, and this is the T-Rex. Looks great. The skin texturing very much looks like leather, you know, much like how T-Rex would. It might be on a little bit on the thinner. Well, no, it's got some bulk. And I do love the way that it looks. I love the red around the crests or the lacrimal horns, and the lips I think look really good as well. Notice I also like how it's like larger scales right here, and then, you know, like on the snout, and then smaller scales over here, which is, again, really likely for the animal. Very good. Takes a bite. So there it is. There is the first trailer for Walking with Dinosaurs 2025. I almost said 2015. What is wrong with me today? So, okay, a couple things. Someone messaged me on TikTok and let me know that this will be releasing around June 16th. So here pretty soon. And it will be narrated by Bertie Carvel. So all around, it's going to be a pretty darn cool project, and I'm very much excited for it. But one thing that I want to address is the quality of the CGI. I have seen a lot of folks point out that they don't think that this CGI looks too good and that the animation looks overall pretty stiff. For the most part, I disagree. I think that it looks good. You know, I don't think it looks amazing. That category goes to Prehistoric Planet, but I think that it looks good. It looks like good CGI, and it genuinely makes me feel like I am looking at dinosaurs. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems. I think a lot of folks are comparing this to Prehistoric Planet, which is an insanely high bar. That quality of CGI is just incredible. And I'm not saying that really justifies bad quality CGI, but I just genuinely don't think this is bad quality CGI. I mean, I'm a dinosaur kid. I grew up with documentaries that looked like this, and I still loved those documentaries. Not every dinosaur documentary that I watched was, you know, a Walking with Dinosaurs 1999, nor was it a Prehistoric Park. It was a lot of them, rather, I watched looked like this. And so I think that this, of course, looks incredible in comparison. And again, I'm not saying that that's any excuse for a project to look bad, but I genuinely don't think that this looks bad. I just don't think it looks as good as Prehistoric Planet. And that's fine. I still think it looks good. I still think it looks like good quality CGI. Because I have seen, like, I've gotten a few comments to say that some people are saying that they're not, like, people are trying to avoid the fact that this is bad CGI. And I'm not. I genuinely don't think this is bad CGI. And I genuinely don't think that the animations are bad. I think that the animal designs are fantastic. And I think that the quality of the animation that we're getting here, along with the quality of the CGI, with the texturing and everything, genuinely looks like good quality. But that might mostly just boil down to my opinion, because personally, I just don't have any problems with it. If you guys have problems with it, then be sure to let me know down below. But yeah, and also let me know what your thoughts on the documentary as a whole are. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Be sure to let me know down below. And yeah, until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.